Welcome back to the Roundtable. I'm Oshrik Fox.
I'm Retro Nemo.
My name is Tom.
We just saw Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and oh my god, dare I say,
Boy!
one of the best Spider-Man films ever, if not the best.
Oh my god.
It's my favorite, even if I don't think it's the best. It's my favorite one for sure.
And picture this, decades of Spider-Man movies. One viewing. He thinks it's the best. That's how good this movie is.
I think it's just the best movie.
I
think we should just, find the Endgame files, just delete it.
Kevin Feige cancels Endgame.
He's just
bravo, Sony.
They wouldn't let me see it till it was in theaters. They said, no, you're going to steal it for Endgame. You're going to put it in the multiverse. So, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is the origin story of Miles Morales, who, as we all know and love, is the kind of black, kind of Hispanic Spider-Man. And I know for a long time people were not huge fans of Miles because they thought that he was pandery, that he only says to be the black Spider-Man, and that he didn't have personality. Personally, I did not read any of his source material, so I have no opinion on that. But in this film, he is a great character.
No more
He
criticism.
is really well written.
No more criticism.
He's not just the black Peter Parker. He is his own character.
I think they really cemented that with the scene. I don't want to get into spoilers.
Yeah, so we'll let you guys know when we get to spoilers, but right now we're just going to get our general thoughts. So, you guys seen the trailer. Miles Morales, he becomes Spider-Man, and he encounters Spider-Men from other universes. I'm talking Peter Parker from another dimension. I'm talking Stacy as Spider-Woman or Spider-Gwen. I'm talking Spider-Ham, voiced by John Mulaney, and Spider-Noir, voiced by Nicolas Cage. That's an all-star cast. Also, my favorite one, Peni Parker. We can't forget her.
I sure didn't know any of them. So I was kind of really lost.
You didn't get the Noir suit in PS4?
No, I thought that was cool, and I figured there was a meaning, but I didn't think he was a character.
They're just oh, let's put this in the game. Would it be cool?
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe they'll make a movie off of it.
And then there's an extra one if you stay till the end.
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, the movie about this was
godly, God tier.
I feel like most comic book films are described as, fun, a good time at the movies. This story was compelling. It had me enthralled. It's intense. It's really dark.
I was uneasy.
I don't think a film has ever forced a emotional reaction from me like this film did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is such a good way of putting it, because I was surprised when I was tearing up. I'm like, oh.
There's a part where, you guys will know when you see it, where you cry. We'll get into that in spoilers. Some of you may already know what we're talking about. But the Spider-Man.
Are you putting a mid-roll in here?
No, this animation of the film is so beautiful.
Yeah, let's start there.
It encompasses so many different mediums of animation into this one big CGI film.
I've never seen a film animated like this.
Yeah!
It literally blends everything, and then it's 3D at the same time.
I'll also say, it does what I feel like the Dragon Prince tries to do with its animation.
Yeah.
I love Dragon Prince. I think it's a good show, but I wish they had the budget this film had, because it excels at it really is a comic book brought to life. I know that's a generic statement to make with, comic book film adaptations, but it's literally a comic book film brought to life. There are so many, without spoiling it, just comic book elements. Sometimes there's comic book panels. Sometimes there's thought bubbles.
I
like the emotional expressions they put.
Yes.
The visual expression.
Yeah. There'd be a frame where it would cut to a really sketchily drawn art style for a split second. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, it wasn't afraid to get weird and experiment. It wasn't just set on one medium, because usually when you watch a CGI film, it's all right, or just any animated film, it's all right, we're going to be 2D, we're going to be claymation, we're going to be CGI. Spider-Verse experiments of all different types, except probably not claymation, and they excel at it so wonderfully. I was just completely in awe, and even though we saw it in 2D, because of how each universe has their own distinct art style to them. And, for Miles and Peter and Gwen, you can't really tell unless you, look up front. So this is, meant for a theater screen. I feel like you won't be able to appreciate this film as much if you see it on DVD or Blu-ray. So even if you are waiting for a home release, I'm sorry. Regardless of circumstances, you just won't be able to get the full experience.
Yeah, unless you have, a home theater, in which case, screw you.
Yeah. Oh, my God. But I feel like the film would work great in 3D, because there are parts where I'm like, this just has to look better in 3D. I feel like it would pop up more at you, because this already pops out at you, but it would pop out even more if you had those glasses on, baby. But soundtrack was phenomenal. No, I think I had a really good soundtrack.
I have to disagree. I think it was the lowest point of the movie.
Really?
There was times where I looked at you and I'm like, this music does not fit.
Yeah, and I was grooving along. Well, there was one scene, we'll get to it in spoilers, that I was like, why are they playing this song?
Well, we can say that they played Juice WRLD and it ruined an emotional peak of the movie. I mean, we can say that without spoiling.
Yeah.
You should know going in that Juice WRLD's going to start.
What's Juice WRLD?
Exactly.
Smart hot take.
No, I would say I always known of Juice WRLD as like a meme.
Yeah.
So when you're like,
And I heard that
playing
wow voice, like I'm just like,
No, yeah, like when you said that Juice WRLD, I'm like, this is the man.
No, and then like it'd be like a powerful scene, and then I just hear like like a trap drum, and I'm like, this is corny. Like, pull back.
The voice direction, the voice acting was so genuine.
Yeah.
I feel like animated films just as a whole get better and better with the voice direction, but here you truly get each character, and I feel like there was no bad delivery. I feel like almost every animated film I see, or even live action films I see, has like at least one line that I'm like, oh, okay, they should have done a take for that.
Yeah.
Not in here.
Dude, there were some moments where like it just felt so human. Some of the like the sounds. And I had to like stop myself and be like, someone did that in a recording booth. Like that it felt so real. Even though it was like, we know how animation works, we know how production works, but still, like, it was like, how?
Yeah.
How did you go from that to, like, this real feeling thing?
I think real's a really good way of putting it, because this movie feels so real.
Even though it's just, like, a insane spectacle.
Yeah, but, like, it's insane how grounded it is. Like,
Yeah, I would say despite the fact that there are all these, like, alternate dimensions and different Spider-Man, it is a grounded film.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like not every scene, but every so often you are, reminded that this is a reality for Miles, that people can get hurt without going into spoilers.
Yeah. And
that sacrifices had to be made. And without going too much into spoiling at all, this film, why I think this is my favorite Spider-Man film, and why I feel like a lot of people make the argument that it is the best Spider-Man film, is that because they have this concept of a Spider-Verse, all these different Spider-Men, it encapsulates what Stan Lee always intended Spider-Man to be, that anyone can be under that mask, anyone can be Spider-Man. You truly understand that by the end of this film, because all the different Spider-Men have their own origin stories. They come from different walks of life, even though they're all similar in what connects them together. And you can't get that out of the Raimi films or the Web films or the MCU, because it only is just one Peter, and it's always Peter.
it's not as meta.
Yeah.
This is like a Spider-Man movie about Spider-Man.
Yeah, and I feel like they knew what to do for Miles Morales' first outing on the big screen, because it wasn't just Miles. You still have Peter there, so for those who just know Peter Parker, you're familiar with them. It's a sense of familiarity, and like I feel as if Peter is a good insert for the audience, because he constantly says throughout the film, like, oh, I've been through this hundreds of times, because how many Spider-Man films there have been? The audience has been through this over and over. We all know how this is going to go down.
Yeah, and then it subverts what you think is going to happen a lot, which I thought was another cool plot. So.
Yeah, and I feel like the plot was kind of predictable, but I feel like for every predictability, it does throw you a curveball. So I wouldn't say the plot was predictable. It was certain plot beats, especially if you're familiar with the lore, it's definitely predictable. But I will say, if you're unfamiliar with Miles Morales or just Spider-Man, like, you've only seen the movies, I think if this was your first time experiencing Miles Morales or just any of those characters, any of the characters from the Ultimate line, you will definitely be surprised. Because there were just some twists, and there's a lot of them, surprisingly, where I was just like, ooh, if I didn't know, like, the source material, wasn't familiar with it. Again, I've never read a Miles comic, but, like, I know the characters. I would have been jaw-dropped. There were some scenes where I was jaw-dropped. And I also like that because they already established that Spider-Man, Peter Parker, has been around for years. You already have his rogue gallery, and they don't show all of them, but they did pull enough of them. I feel like they were all varied antagonists. Like, some were more recognizable, some were a different spin on them.
That was cool, man. Every villain was a different version of, like, the villain.
Well, not even a different version of the villain, but I'm saying, like, their variety is, like, without... I don't want to say about going to spoilers, because they did a great job, a super great job on hiding how many villains are in this film.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I also like how it's like a connected teacher, like they're all connected together.
And they'd be like a villain, they would not name them, they wouldn't even, like, really explain why they're there, they would just be there, and you're, like, supposed to know.
Yeah, and that
so cool.
it's good because that is how it would go down in a world with Spider-Man for
Yeah.
over 10, 20 years. You know, at some point, the villains would band together. They'd probably have a group chat. They'd probably meet for coffee every weekend.
Doc Ock has like an android, so he never gets invited.
But overall, guys, we're going to start going to spoilers in a bit.
Yes.
This is just an amazing film. And
Go see it.
if you're an animation fan,
Go see it.
This has to be like textbook
Go see
101
it.
required watching.
Yes.
It is such a love letter to the medium. I would argue it is Phil Lord and Chris Miller's probably darkest film.
And best work.
Yeah, I don't. I need to rewatch like a movie before I make that statement, but it definitely is one of my favorite films by them.
Yeah.
And if you're a Spider-Man fan, if you are well versed in the lore, there are so many like little Easter eggs, goodies, and callbacks that you will love. And you know, I feel as if, and we saw this from the trailers and commercials, and I won't really go into much spoilers on this, but I feel like the general audience is still used to Tobey Maguire as Spider-Man, and they definitely have the most references to the Tobey Maguire Raimi version of the character.
Yeah.
But
That's why they were the right people for the job, because they
Yeah.
did that.
I have something to say about that, but I'm gonna wait till we
Alright.
get into spoilers.
yeah, so without spoilers, just give your thoughts, like just your recommendations of this movie. I would say definitely see it. It's more than just a good time at the theater. It is such a powerful movie. It moves you. It
truly
truly
does.
moves
Yeah,
you.
it really does.
It has a really strong cast, really strong writing, and the action scenes. I haven't even got to touch on that because they don't really show you as much action scenes in the trailer, and they
Dude,
are
the
all kind
final-
of like...
the final action sequence was just god tier.
Yeah, and I feel like you can't really talk about any of the action scenes without spoilers, which is why they kept them out of the trailers. But I recommend this movie. It is just phenomenal.
I would say if your grandma's taking you to the movies to see The Grinch, you pull her aside. You say, Grandma, no. We're going in this one. And you take her to see Spider-Verse and support it and give it money because it needs money so that the people on top see that we like it.
No theater hopping.
No theater hopping unless it's to The Grinch after.
Tom, closing
Don't
thoughts?
give The Grinch money.
I really like Miles Morales, and like with Luke Cage, usually when a character I really like finally gets like a mainstream adaptation, I'm really hesitant to like I'm excited but like hesitant to like grab onto that.
Yeah, you don't want them to like
Because
mess it
like
up.
with Luke Cage, it was like, okay, this is cool, but like this isn't the Luke Cage I know. With this, I am very happy with the way that they portrayed Miles Morales, even if it's not like the perfect like comic.
Yeah, one-on-one adaptation.
Yeah, it's still like this is a really good adaptation, and this is a really good representation of the character. So, definitely recommend it.
All right, so spoilers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I literally only have like one like big complaint about this movie, and it's such a minor thing.
What?
Why was his dad, you know, the cop, always working alone? He's always at the scene by himself. Like, I'm just imagining him at the police station, like, are you sure you don't want, like, Sheriff Hopper on the guy? No, I got this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get that
He
badge.
calls for backup all the time.
But we
they're
never see
there.
it.
Yeah.
Like, literally in the climax of the film, he's like, oh, he's the only one there. It's like, where's the rest of your team? Are they scared?
Yeah, I don't
Like,
know.
I'm just imagining they're like, dog, like, you don't want to go. Morales, like, just chilling. He's like, nah, I'll see you guys. Catch me at Wendy's.
Yeah. I think that all I can say is, like, this... I can't stress how dark this movie was.
Oh my god. A death for each act of the film, and that's not even an exaggeration.
Yeah, not only
First
that-
act, Peter. Second act,
When they killed
Uncle
off
Aaron.
Spider-Man, they just, like, all bets were off. They killed Spider-Man.
They killed him twice, because in the third act, Spider Rider goes out.
Literally, but, like, that was, like, such a... Like, Miles was traumatized.
And the scene
man.
after of his dad, where he's like, "Dad, do you really hate Spider-Man?"
That's the thing. This movie does not pull any punches.
No!
It really
They go
doesn't.
so deep. Like, it's so... I can't believe they got not that they got away with it, but just that they had the guts to do a lot of what they did.
Yeah, and I feel like they really make you feel for Miles.
They're really unapologetic.
He truly is just a kid. He conveys that super well because in 2 days, all this happens to him.
Yeah.
Literally, 2 days ago, I didn't remember what I ate for breakfast. Like,
Yeah, you're right.
his whole life has changed.
Like, I just can't express how intense of an arc Miles goes through. And just like, any other film, they would have only killed off, like, one of the characters, you know?
Yeah.
Any other film would have been like, all right, we killed Spider-Man, let's relax a little bit.
No.
Like, I did not see Prowler's death coming.
I didn't see Prowler being the uncle. I thought that was a cool
Well,
twist.
I knew that from the comics.
Yeah, I didn't
I
know
just
that.
didn't
So that was a cool
recognize him
twist.
as Prowler.
But that was
like, I don't know who that guy is.
Yeah, I didn't know either. I'm like, oh, it's just another
I
character.
was like, why is Donald Glover bald now?
Well, they don't really. He only says he's the Prowler once. It feels like a nickname Mal gives him. Like the Prowler's my uncle. But
oh yeah.
and I do wish.
Can we just acknowledge the fact that a lot of times, like, movies try and do stuff like that, like what they did with Miles and Prowler, but it doesn't work because they don't establish the relationship.
Yeah.
So you're just like, okay, the guy he knew died. But
Yeah.
they really get down, like, they really convince you that these two have, like, a really strong bond together.
Well, I mean, look at the whole arc. Okay, we find out he's evil. Oh my god, like, now you start to hate this guy who before you thought was a cool uncle, but you knew something was up. You start to hate him, and then he's holding him, and then he lets him go. Like, he's the good guy. He lets him go. That's when they kill him. The second you're like, okay, I like this guy again.
Yeah, like
they
as
kill
soon as you
him.
think he's gonna like start like helping kick some ass, he dies.
Bro, and that's like so traumatic, like to us as a viewer to put us through that.
And something that like Spider Rider obviously that was an asset. It's a robot, and like I'm not saying just with robots, like Iron Giant, like a baby.
I mean,
but
she still had the spider, though. She could just put that in a new robot.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking
the
too.
point,
I'm like,
I mean, that's what she's doing during the end credits.
Yeah.
Or the end of montage. But the point I wanted to make is that both Spider-Man and Prowler were killed by Kingpin, who, at the end of the day, he's a human being.
with a gun. That was his only weapon.
Yeah.
Just a guy with a gun.
Like that's so crazy
That's
to
the
me.
craziest part.
And with Spider-Man, it's just him being a big-ass dude.
Yeah.
Like, that's literally like his superpower in the MCU. It's just he's fucking big.
Yeah, funny. Okay.
I'm a big ass white dude with a bald
What's-
head.
But something I was going to say right quick.
Yeah, sure, no, it's fine.
before I lose my thought on this, was that at first I was kind of disappointed we didn't see more of Miles' relationship with his Uncle Aaron. But like the more I thought about it, we didn't really need to.
No.
Like I always wanted to know, because when you figure out, like I figured out from the jump that like, all right, that's his uncle. I thought they're maybe gonna have a scene where like they have maybe a potentially awkward run-in, or like maybe his uncle hints that he knows, but Miles doesn't know yet. I feel as if just the opening, not the opening, like during the beginning of the film, their interactions is so strong that it stays in your head. Because everyone has that one cool uncle. Mm-hmm. So for my
Wait, cool uncle's literally named Aaron. So I felt that.
And just the beginning of the film, like you're introduced to Spider-Man, like I'm Spider-Man, you know who I am. But then it cuts to Miles, he's singing Sunflower. Shane hates that song, and it, like they reference it 3 times.
That was my only gripe, was the music in the movie.
Oh my god, I love Sunflower.
I liked most of it.
Yeah.
I thought it was weird when it was just like there's a random X song in there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So the song that
I
the
missed
Juice
that.
WRLD song.
That was X and Juice WRLD?
Wait, wasn't that Juice WRLD when like?
Yeah,
okay.
I'm pretty sure it was Juice WRLD.
Yeah.
When his
So.
roommate walked in.
No.
Oh, I don't know.
So.
I'm pretty sure that was the next song.
Oh, because I know he's like a surprise guest. Like,
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's after Uncle Aaron dies.
the most.
Was it Uncle Aaron or Spider? It was one of the major
Nah,
deaths.
it was one of the major deaths. I think it was Uncle Aaron, because I remember it being such a pivotal moment in the film.
Yeah, and then it just starts
just
playing trap
and
music.
It
Like,
ruins it. It ruins it, dude. I would have taken a corny, epidemic sounds like, like sad horn music over like a Juice WRLD
that
trap
was
song.
a bit of
Takes you out of the
a
moment.
bit of a misstep. Like that was the only time in the film where I was like, this soundtrack is not it.
And it's not even like, oh, it's your taste in music. Like, Shane just doesn't like trap music. Like, I love music and I love music like that, but it pulls you out of the film, I feel. Like, what did you guys feel like a little bit?
I don't even remember that.
Okay.
Also,
maybe
can we
it's
talk
a
about
little
how Miles didn't want to be Spider-Man and
Yeah.
both
Yeah.
Peters were like, you don't have a choice?
Yeah, they're like, you fucking I want this.
Yeah.
Like that's so real because they introduced Miles as this normal kid and he's going through changes, and that's also a pivotal part of Spider-Man's character is that he's this kid that goes through change, these extreme changes. Like we're just he's singing the music, he's like mumbling to music, like that's a mood.
Yeah.
And then we find out that he's forced to go to this private school that he doesn't want to go to. And, like, when you're our age, like, obviously we know that's the best thing for him. But I feel as if that will really resonate well with kids because there's so many kids, they want to be with their friends or, they want to kind of take the easy road. And they don't want to push themselves. And I feel as if they'll connect with that. And by the end of the film, they'll be inspired and motivated to be greater,
Yeah.
and with his father, his father's a cop.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's already a pretty, unique premise because let's not bullshit anything. Miles is black, so having a cop as a father is, it's interesting storytelling. They didn't, and it never felt like hammering it over your head, and never felt like not so subtle. It's not even anything like your dad's a cop, Miles. It's just one of those things where, and even in the beginning, Miles didn't his dad's driving him to school.
Yeah.
And the kids are like, Mom, you got arrested? It's already embarrassing for your parent to drive you to work, but when your parent drives a cop car, of course it's not only gonna be embarrassing.
And you're a person of color.
Yeah, that's just a bad look.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna say I wish they touched on that, but I do wonder how his dad felt about that because I feel like his dad had to be aware of what he was doing.
Well, yeah, and I think that's just kind of undertones. Because if they went any more, people would attack it for being preachy.
Oh, look at Sony. Now they're joining the NFL and the cop hating.
Why can't I just watch Spider-Man without a race war involved?
I left football for comic books, and now look what happened.
And and his dad's never portrayed as a bad guy or anything.
No, he's portrayed as the best guy. He's a good dad.
Yeah, and
that scene at the door.
Yeah, when, oh my God, there's just that entire sequence.
And he couldn't talk because Spider-Man.
Yeah, all right. First you lose your uncle. Usually, usually with films, we're gonna be all right, this is where he's on the rise, and then he's gonna turn everything around. He's gonna get control of his powers. No, instead, all the Spider-Men are you're not going on this mission. And Peter, the one that he met and the one that he arguably has the strongest relationship to, is the one who decided to not go on the mission.
And the one who was sticking up for him.
Yeah, that's already a punch in the gut, and then his dad comes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I gotta say, Aunt May has to hook up. This is the best Aunt May.
This is a great Aunt May. Because she's involved. She has
Yeah, she was in at some point she found out Peter was Spider-Man. They didn't have to say that. We just knew the fact that he has his own Bat Cave.
Yeah, that was
with
tight.
all the suits. One of them has Doctor Strange's cape.
In New York City, how do they not know?
It's spider.
Okay. You got me there.
And she made Miles his own web shooters, and I really hope in the sequel we do see Aunt May kind of not more involved, but we're gonna see her again.
No, you can go to Aunt May for help.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. She's the Alfred of Miles Morales in this universe's story. Yeah. That's so good.
And she's got nothing else going on.
And can I say they did a really good job of giving each Spider-Man their own arc?
Yeah.
Besides Spider-Ham.
Even Spider-Noir had an arc?
Yeah, he learned what color was.
He did, though?
Remember? Yeah, he stopped being racist.
Oh my God. He figures out what color is and he just starts being really mean to Miles. Cut that out.
We're not cutting that out.
No.
This is all one take.
No, okay.
He's looking at it, he's like, wait, whoa!
There's signs for people. Okay, no, cut that.
I'm from the 50s, right?
Definitely cut that
out.
out.
From the 30s. That's even worse.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Let's stop beating around the bush here. Miles uses the hard R in this movie.
Oh my God.
Now there was one part in Nick Tendo. He quoted the clip of it because they put the clip out as promotion for the movie when they're escaping that lab, and they edited that clip so you can see Liz Octavius, which also, or was it Liv? One of those. Really good antagonist. I'll get to that reveal in a second.
Yeah.
But he says, I can't do this yet, but because this is so fast, sounds like he says, I can't do this shit.
I mean, there was a point where, Peter was, yelling in his arm, and you could hear him be like, fucking shit! Yeah. And it's okay, this is PG, and I clearly tell what you're saying.
Yeah, I think they were really smart about that. What Spider-Man movie have you seen where Spider-Man's, written a letter about how scared he was?
Yeah, to his uncle.
Was. Because Miles,
and his uncle probably never got to read that letter.
For a split second, I'm like, well, he went home. And I'm like, oh, no, wait.
Then immediately left out again.
No,
and, I knew that would be the reveal scene.
Yeah.
It was kind of odd. So you knew in that scene something big was going to happen.
Well, yeah, and he's like, wish you were here now.
Yeah, and
there were a couple moments like that where I'm like, okay.
They used the dialogue in this film and, callbacks so well.
Yeah.
Because earlier in the film, Aaron tells Miles to never quit, and when he's on the phone with Kingpin, he says, I never quit. And it shows how much how far context and delivery can go. Yeah. Because when he first says it, it's inspiring. Second time, hella threatening.
Yeah, and the whole thing about just get back up is a theme.
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man always gets back up.
Yes.
Except when he didn't and he died. But then he got up again later on.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was hard.
And that's Sam Lee cameo.
that Stan Lee can't. That was like.
They tried to do a joke at the end, but I was too busy holding back tears to laugh at.
The joke where they paid respects to him?
No, at the end of the
joke
scene.
where-
Oh, like I
When
thought
he
you meant the thing that came up at the end.
No, when he was like, "It's okay, you'll always find a way to fit into it," and that shows the no refund sign.
Yeah, that was okay. Phil Lord and Chris Miller's comedy gods. That does not need to be said. But this movie, what I like, and I don't want to like compare it to the MCU, but I feel like with the MCU, they always use jokes to like alleviate a scene. But with Spider-Verse, all the jokes felt infinitely more natural than they ever have, and
They're
like
just part of it.
yeah, it was just really smart
I
writing.
mean,
but
that's what you're supposed to use humor for, and they did that in this movie really well.
They never turn it off.
But I feel like, for example, like with Infinity War, everyone knows that, like, not everyone, but I think I made it clear
the humor
that,
they used made sense for the situation.
well, I was going to say, like, in Infinity War, like, the scene in particular I want to bring up was when Gamora told Quill, like, if Thanos gets me, you have to kill me, and, like, it's like, ends on a sweet note. But then it just cuts to Drax eating chips. Like, that did not need to be in the movie.
Yeah,
So it's just like, when you compare those kind of jokes, like how they use jokes in here, like, you're already, as an audience member, like, sobbing because Peter Parker, the one you grew up, I mean, he has blonde hair, it's not the one I grew up, but Peter Parker died.
He's like the coolest Peter.
Yeah.
In this universe, he's like the tightest Peter.
Yeah, like,
ever.
even Peter Benjamin says that. He's
Yeah.
like, oh, he's like me, but cooler.
Yeah.
But,
And he's like, "Oh, it's okay, I'm gonna take care of you," and then he dies.
yeah.
Because it happened so fast, I'm like, what? And then he's like, oh, and I'm like, okay.
But, yeah, like, you're already crying, and then they unintentionally made that sad, because that obviously was, like, already written and recorded before then, but, like, you're like, Spider-Man's dead, and then Stan Lee is like, I was first with Spider-Man, Stan Lee's dead!
Yeah, that hit extra hard, dude. This movie just made me so sad. Like, that's why I had such an emotional reaction.
Yeah, it gives you such a strong emotion. Like, if you're just familiar with Spider-Man as a character, it's going to, like, pull at your heartstrings.
It tears you down and builds you back up.
Yeah, and
Like, really well.
I would argue this is a good introduction to Spider-Man.
A great introduction
Yeah.
to Miles.
Yeah.
Best introduction to Miles we could have done, literally. Like,
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I haven't seen any of his... Like, I know he's in some of the cartoons and stuff. I haven't seen any of those. So, all I can say is that I can just tell this was the strongest one.
like, to tell the story of a different Spider-Man,
It's already bold.
you have to tell the story of a bunch of different Spider-Men so you get a contact.
But Miles is the connective tissue. And I like how they did it where all the other Spider-Men from different universes were going to die. They're going to disintegrate, like Thanos. Ooh. But because Miles obviously is his universe, he's the one who won't die. Like, that was such a good use of his character and all the, like, the having consequences for being in this universe.
Right, the only stakes he had was failing.
Yeah.
Like, failing these people that he respected.
Mm-hmm. And he was basically fighting to keep them alive, and they didn't want that.
Yeah, it was
they're all
so
heroes.
crazy.
They
Yeah.
all said, "I'll stay back." That was
Yeah,
really
like
funny.
all of them were voluntarily going to like sacrifice themselves,
Yeah.
and like that's who Spider-Man is. I mean, that's what really any hero is. But
Yeah.
I feel as if they all captured the spirit of Spider-Man, especially the Spider-Man from Miles' timeline before he dies. You know, he's cracking jokes. Like even when he's dying or like in peril, like Miles is like, "You're gonna get up, right?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And then he calls you like the coughing's not a good sign. But like, you know, it's such a dark moment, but they handle it so well. Like Phil Lord and Chris Miller and the writers, did they write this film or something?
I don't know actually.
Well, there were different script writers. All of them really understand Spider-Man as a concept and Peter Parker as a character because there is a difference.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And I think
And sorry. I didn't
no,
mean to
you
go
go.
on.
I didn't really have a point.
They definitely did a good job of making each Spider-Man different from one another. Like Spider-Man's literally like a talking pig. And also, big props to them because in the scene after Uncle Aaron dies, and like all the Spider-Man are talking about like the people they lost, they could have easily, and I was expecting them to have Spider-Man crack a joke like, "I lost my best friend, he's bacon now," or something. He was just like, "We can't save everyone." Like, I just really appreciate that because it would have been so easy to make that a joke, and they decide to take the high road.
Comedy gods, man, and John Mulaney's delivery.
But the villains. So, I gotta say, I don't know if Liv Octavius is an original villain for this movie or from the comics. I'm assuming from the comics.
Maybe.
But I had no idea she existed. They did such an awesome job of covering all the villains in the promotional. Like, I thought, all I knew going into this was like Kingpin and Green Goblin were in it. But, you know, when they sing into this lab, there's this eccentric professor in there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, like obviously she's a bad guy. What's her deal?
And then they showed her in Miles' class beforehand, like on
Yeah.
the video.
Yeah. Yes.
So it adds like the credibility of her scientific merits.
Yeah. And Peter was like, "What was your name again?" And when she said Liv Octavius, literally, you heard? Yeah. Did you guys hear me gasp? I was like, "Oh, it's going down!" And the octopus arms come out, boy.
That was awesome.
And like Scorpion's just kind of there, but also like I love how all the villains just casually strolled up to Aunt May's house. Like Thompson literally came from the back. Like, how did he get into the house? For a split second, I was like, "Is Aunt May like in on this?"
This is one of those movies where I thought about the destruction, like really realistically. I'm like,
Yeah.
they just destroyed houses.
Right.
No, I was thinking, I'm like, where is Aunt May gonna stay now? But later on, she was just like, "I've been waiting for you to get here, Peter."
Oh, she's probably
This-
staying down there now.
No, I was thinking like, Peter probably has he probably spent a lot of lights down there, so there's probably a place for her to sleep.
Maybe it's like a Phineas and Ferb button. The house flips over and there's a new one. Like,
suckers fall for it every time.
I think it's insane because, well, okay, Liv Octavius, like, she sucked. Like, I hated her. She was annoying.
Really?
No,
I loved
like,
her.
No, I loved her, but like, I wanted to punch her. Like,
Oh, you're saying like she took it like like you hate this
She's a
person.
good
Yeah.
Yeah.
But dude, Kingpin.
Okay,
Had an
he has a
emotional
really
story.
yeah. Like
Like,
this
I
camera's
felt
gonna die
bad.
soon. It's late, so I don't mean to rush this. So I need to touch on Kingpin, like we all do.
Yeah.
From the get go, when Peter in the beginning was like, "You're not gonna bring them back," and then he kills him.
Yeah.
I was like, "All right, his family died." But actually seeing it happen, like I didn't think they were gonna go that far.
They did.
And at first I thought they were like, "Oh, so his family just left him," but no. So they walked in on him just being the snot out of Peter. And they drove us fast from him as they could because they were probably scared out of their minds.
Yeah.
Like, is he gonna come after us? He's gonna hurt us now? And they get hit by a truck. And like the second they started driving, I knew what was coming. But I thought they were gonna like hint at the guy. No, they show the entire crash. They show the car
Like, the
flying.
noise was like
Yeah.
super real.
And what hit home for me, not even that like. I guess you could argue that Kingpin's sympathetic, but what hit home for me.
The thing is they really played into the fact that Kingpin as a character is a really scary guy, but he's also an insecure like man-child.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that plays into it because he did it to himself, but he has such a strong emotional response that it almost feels sympathetic.
Yeah. On that note, what I was about to say was that what hit like hard for me was during the climax. You know, they're fighting and like the universes are emerging, and for a split second in a subway car, Kingpin's family like walks in from a different dimension, and they see him and they get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
So, you know, arguably in every dimension, he pushes them away. There's
Yeah.
no universe where his family wants to be with him.
Because
Which is crazy.
he himself is a toxic person.
Yes.
And then his arc gets completed right as he gets defeated, which is like super satisfying as a viewer. It's just amazing.
Now, so they don't really specify Miles' age. I'm assuming it's like 14, 15, but he's like in middle school.
I
Yeah.
think he's like 16.
Also,
Are people
should we be worried about the blanking?
I'm just gonna try one.
Yeah, just keep going.
But yeah, Miles like he's in middle school still, like say middle school. But Gwen's 15 months older than him. But also during her flashback, like her origin story, like she can see her best friend Peter Parker. That Peter looked like the
Yeah.
exact same. So like, not even I'm like, oh, that doesn't make any sense. I just want to know what their story is. Like, is that Peter like an older
Yeah.
brother to her?
I think-
Like, there's a story to be told there.
To be honest, I think they're just like, we already spent too much on the movie. Let's just reuse the
Yeah.
model.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, that makes more
And
sense.
I guess less confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, the only piece of criticism that's valid for that entire movie.
Again, the action scenes blew me away. My favorite one was definitely the one in Aunt May's house. The ending sequence was obviously just
Yeah.
oozing with animation
That
goodness.
was,
gotta
just,
see it.
that was just next level. They were
Yeah.
like, let's just throw everything at the wall and make it work.
Yeah, and it was Spider Rider. No, Nani. But God, I'm gonna watch this movie again.
Yeah, I'm gonna go see it right now. Let's go watch it.
All right, let's go back.
Do you guys have any other my closing thoughts? Amazing film. If I miss anything for the spoilers, just because we just saw it, I probably will see it again and again and again.
Definitely has rewatchability. I would just say go see it because it's a good movie, and you should definitely support it because I don't know if it's gonna make its budget back. Like dude, this is like a weird, risky project if you think about it.
Yeah, and our theater wasn't that poppin', but
No.
also the reason why I think the theater wasn't poppin' was because not only was it Thursday opening night, but it's an animated film,
Yes.
and because it's an animated Spider-Man film, people are gonna be like, my Spider-Man's live action.
Which this is more adult than any Spider-Man film has ever been, and
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding.
I would say it's on the same level as the Raimi films.
Oh, it's not as goofy as the Raimi films.
That's
It's like
true.
somehow less goofy than like.
Yeah, it's like the Raimi films are really cheesy.
TGI Spideys,
Oh,
Spider-Ham's anvil
classic
and
line.
mallet.
All right, guys.
John Mulaney was good.
See this movie.
Yeah. Well, where would you guys rank this among all the Spider-Man films? Like, this is probably my
Top.
favorite one, but if I had to rank it
Number
like
one.
up quality, it would go Spider-Man 2, Spider-Verse, Spider-Man 1, and then
I
fucking
don't
years
know.
ago
People
the rest.
cherish these films so much. Like,
Yeah.
the Raimis are the best. I'm just gonna say it's been the one I enjoyed seeing the most.
No, that's valid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not. I don't want to rank or get involved with that. I have never had an emotional experience. from a
I don't
movie.
really see the whole hype around Spider-Man 2, honestly. Like, I thought it was decent,
Mm-hmm.
personally. But, like, people are always like, oh, that's the best one. I'm like, okay.
It definitely is. Like,
But-
I think it is.
But, I mean, after seeing
This is a
Spider-Verse,
great contender.
To me, seeing Spider-Verse, I genuinely think it's of higher quality.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have to see how it ages. Like a fine.
Don't
wine.
dislike us.
Yeah.
Everyone's entitled to their opinions. I'm looking at you, Carl. Anyways, what did you guys think of Spider-Verse? Was there anything that you wanted us to talk about that we didn't? I'm sorry, it's late. Battery. Let us know your thoughts
in the comments
below.
or tweet to us.
Or tweet to us at AwestruckThoughts
Retro Nemo.
At Tommy PQM.
Yeah.
and at Roundtable Vids.
Roundtable Vids.
If you want to help the Roundtable grow, you can either become a member of the channel or support us on Patreon. Get access to exclusive perks. Link in the description. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, share, and if you're new here, subscribe. Hit that bell for notifications to stay in the loop with all things animation. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have an awesome day.
Goodbye.
I'm falling asleep.
We can all be Spider-Man.